In this episode of the Wild Party podcast, I'm delighted to introduce Rosanne Wood, the visionary founder of Number 49 Handbags, a luxury vegan brand that combines style, sustainability, and a deep commitment to the planet. Rosanne's journey into the world of vegan fashion is not just about creating beautiful handbags. It's about making a tangible impact on the environment by reducing plastic waste and supporting reforestation efforts. We delve into Rosanne's inspiring story of how she turned a personal challenge into a thriving business that reflects her passion for cruelty-free products and sustainable practices. From navigating the complexities of sourcing ethical materials to leveraging the power of social media for business growth, Rosanne shares invaluable insights for both entrepreneurs and conscious consumers alike. Let's get this party started. Welcome to the Wild Party Podcast, where we celebrate the visionaries behind vegan, ethical, and sustainable business. In each episode, we'll dive deep into their journeys, uncovering the why behind their mission-driven business. I'm your host, Stephanie Lahart. Tune in with me for passionate discussions about overcoming challenges, innovative marketing strategies, and the power of using business as a force for good. So whether you're an entrepreneur seeking guidance or a conscious consumer wanting to support impactful brands, join us as we explore the stories behind the businesses that are changing the world for the better. Let's get the party started. Welcome to the show, Rosanne. We have so much to talk about. I'm so excited to have you today.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm excited as well.
We met at the Vegan Women's Summit, which now, God, it seems like yesterday, but it was way back in May.
I know, time flies.
It was such a great event. I was really happy to meet you. And you had your daughter there that day, correct?
Yeah, she works with me and yeah, it was a fun event.
Yeah, it was really great. I really loved that day. It was such a great time to meet all these other passionate vegan-centered businesses, to meet other business owners and just entrepreneurs and people in general that really just have the same mindset. I don't know about you, but I just walked out of there just kind of like buzzing. Like I just wanted it to be Vegan Women's Summit every single day because it was so awesome to just have that like-minded vibe going on. And I was really excited when I saw you and your booth, because you guys were actually a sponsor. You had a booth because your products were so beautiful. And it
Oh,
was
thank
really
you.
just one of those things I could just tell by your vibe and your daughter. I'm like, God, they have something special here. And so I really wanted to, talk to you today about this whole journey that led you to create this beautiful product and start this business. Because I did read on your website that the number 49 has very special meaning to you. So why don't we start there? What's this number 49 all about?
So means like new beginnings, change, growth. And so like in numerology, that's what it means. And so it's all about finding new solutions. And so I thought it was really fitting as a name for our vegan handbag line because we want the fashion industry to be different and also to give more options to consumers when they're purchasing. I think they do care about being socially responsible, and and some don't even know it. So it's education, and it's just we wanted to change how things are done.
Yeah, that is all very true. And the other thing that I think I read was that you started this company when you were 49 years old, correct?
Yeah, I turned 49 in May. Actually, I think I was even at the vegan summit.
Oh,
Yeah, it was
okay.
my birthday.
Well, happy belated birthday. So that
Thank
means
you.
then you were doing something prior to this company. So tell me a little bit about your journey. How did you come upon number 49? Where were you before this?
I was in a bad marriage and not very happy, and it took about 2 years to develop, and it was just me wanting to do something that I love. I love handbags. I care about the environment, cruelty-free products, and so when it came time to launch, I knew I'd be turning 49, and I loved the significance of the meaning of number 49 numerology, and so that's how it kind of all came to be.
So, but prior to this company though, what were you doing as a career?
Real estate appraisal, like something totally different, but it just wasn't fulfilling. And I thought, I'm getting up there in years and I want to do something I love, something I'm passionate about.
Wow, so
Yeah.
that's quite a career change then, coming from real estate to now the, designer vegan fashion industry. So you decide one day you're like, I'm going to launch a vegan fashion line. How do you start? I mean, how does somebody start with that? Like
Ooh.
where did it start for you to even source materials? Because you use some very interesting materials.
Yeah, it took a long time, a lot of research, a lot of talking to people, a lot of trial and error. Like, for example, we tried corn leather, but it's beautiful, it's durable, but our bags were like almost 10 pounds, like for the larger bags. So, I mean, it just wasn't, it was a lot of trial and error and finding suppliers that are also ethical and that we felt good about. It took time, a lot of research. Really, it just sitting down and doing it and feeling the different fabrics. And yeah, it was a labor of love.
Well, the things that are worth doing in life usually are a labor of love. And you mentioned some of the materials you guys are using. So you're using apple, bamboo. Is it raffia? Is that how you say it?
Yeah, raffia. It's from the raffia palm tree, so it's like very renewable, and it requires very little processing and little water to produce it. So it's a great fabric that's very sustainable and renewable.
Yeah. So are you based in Canada? Is that correct?
Yeah, we are.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So tell me a little bit then, how are you finding your suppliers then? Because you said you did have to do research to make sure that you were working with the right ones. So how were you able to figure out who to work with and make sure that they had sustainable practices that were in line with your thinking?
Well, places that are audited, and we had to change them a couple times. We're working with three just to like sometimes there's shortages just because it is vegan materials. They don't always have like a huge supply, so sometimes we've had to change patterns or have a different like a bag made by a different person. So I think we have to just be open to having different designs or changing designs. But yeah, that's it's been interesting. It's been an educational process. I'm learning as I go.
Well, you seem to be a very kind of calm and thoughtful person. So I'm guessing that you deal with change and with let's say unexpected opportunities in a very positive way. You don't seem to get frazzled. Is that true?
Yeah, definitely. It doesn't really get you anywhere. If something's not working, you just have to figure it out.
That's very true, and I think that's a really good lesson for any entrepreneur or new business owner that's out there that you're going to come up against some things, and you just have to figure a way around it. Like there's always you go around it or you go over it, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I just go for it.
Yeah.
This whole thing, I mean, we've had a lot of obstacles, but everything always works out. And like at the Vegan Women's Summit, it's just meeting connections. And a lot of people have been so helpful and pointing me in the right direction. And I feel like it hasn't just been me finding solutions.
Yeah, the universe definitely has your back. I feel that for you too. How did
Yeah.
you become aware of the Women's Vegan Summit? How did you get involved with them?
I was in Toronto at a vegan fashion show, and I think they were there. And that is how I first heard about them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. I became aware of them through Instagram. An
Oh,
Instagram post popped up where somebody was talking about it, and it was literally like a week or two before the show. And the show, as you know, was in West Hollywood, which is where I live. And I was like, oh my God, this incredible summit's going to be here. And it's right in my neighborhood. I was so excited. So, yeah, that's how I ended up attending. And I was lucky enough to be able to attend as a creator. So I was there capturing content. As you know, I was interviewing you, I was interviewing a bunch of people. It was a really fun event, which I loved. But again, I did immediately notice your booth and your beautiful products. Let's talk a little bit about the design of your handbags themselves, because you have a definitive style. It is what we call kind of like, or I will call a beautiful, sleek, minimalist style, which I love. So is that kind of like your personal style?
yeah. I don't want things to be too trendy where they're going to go out of style the next year. I'm making bags that are durable so that they're made to last. And that is part of being sustainable or trying to be a more sustainable brand is just creating more timeless pieces that you can use year after year.
Yes, that is the perfect word for them. They are very timeless. Like I said, very chic, very minimalist, very modern. You can wear them in so many ways. I mean, I think I was on your website for like an hour the other day, just looking through all the various handbags and styles and products. I'm like, God, this is really beautiful. You've really hit on something there. And I
Oh,
love seeing
thank you,
that because
Stephanie.
yeah, but like you had said too, it's like it's a matter of like also educating the consumer that there are these options out there, instead of, the old thought was always just like, oh, these are kind of lower quality bags. If it's not a leather bag, then it doesn't last. But now we know because we have all these various new materials that are more sustainably sourced, that really last longer and that are beautifully made, that, you can have a product last your entire lifetime, which I love. I'm in the area of my life where I just don't want to buy anything anymore. So is that
Yeah.
something that you look for too when you guys are designing your bags and sourcing your material? Like you want somebody to own that bag for their lifetime, right?
Yeah, we definitely are trying to produce a quality product. And vegan materials, they do last as long as animal leathers if you take care of them. And they just require way less resources to produce, and they're cruelty free. Like there's no need to be like so hard on the earth. And so part of, yeah, we just want to keep educating people. And we're finding that there are more and more brands that are heading this way. So I think it's an exciting time.
Yeah, so let's talk about the cruelty aspect a little bit because I know this is deeply important and personal to you too. You want to, did I read on your website that you are actively working towards ending animal cruelty and animal violence?
We are with our brand. We don't use any animal products at all, and we never will.
Hmm.
And we do support animal rights causes. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm guessing then that you are also a vegan,
Yes.
and is your daughter also living a vegan life?
She's vegetarian. She's not, I wouldn't say vegan.
She's on her way. She's on her
Yeah.
way. She'll
Yeah.
make the switch. I feel it. We all start somewhere. But for you, tell me a little bit about your personal journey when you really became more aware of, the need to, let's say, just be kinder to animals. Where did that start for you?
It started with the environment and then just through that, educating myself and just reading about all the horrible things that are done to animals when you're making like clothing. It's not just like the food industry, it's just they're subjected to horrible, horrible, horrible things. And there's just no need. Like, I don't understand it at all.
Yeah, and I think the part of the problem is that we're so far removed from things, not only our food source, but how things are made that people don't think in the end what the I guess what the action was, like what happened along the way because we think of things like, having
Yeah.
like a goose down pillow, but they don't
Yes.
think about how those where those feathers came from. Like,
Yeah,
Goose
they're
didn't just
plucked
say,
alive
"Here,
and it's
take my
awful.
feathers." Like there was a horrible action that
Yeah.
happened there,
And
and
they do it over and over.
over and
Yeah.
over, and that's the thing people don't understand. They think in terms of like, oh well, when we kill a cow we use every part of it and it's a lovely experience for everybody involved, and it's like, no, it's horrible because as mass consumers the demand for things is so great that companies are constantly trying to figure out ways to do things cheaper, faster, and just, the bottom line is it. And now that we're seeing the rise of what we call the conscious consumer and the conscious entrepreneur like yourself, we realize like our actions have consequences and we don't
Yeah.
have to do it the way it was done in the past. Like I don't look back at the past and judge people like you didn't know, but now we know. There's no
Yeah.
getting away from it. It's all over social media, it's all over the news. People know now, so now you can make better decisions. Like there's no reason for it anymore. And I really,
Absolutely.
yeah. And I really want to support with, business owners like you in that messaging because here you are, you're like, hey, I changed my whole life around. I turned 49 and I decided I was going to just do things differently. And we can do that at any age, right?
Yeah. Yeah. There's never a wrong time.
There's never a wrong time to make a good choice, I'll say.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let me ask you then, as far as like your entrepreneur journey, because it sounds like you're pretty new. You just started, you said your company in May, was it? Or just for the first of the year?
Uh, we started late fall last year, so we'll be coming on a year. Um, yeah, it's very, very new.
Okay. And how are you mainly finding your customers, or how are customers finding you? Is it through the website, or is it through doing live events like the Vegan Women's Summit?
Primarily it's been through events. I find it's a lot easier to talk to people and then they're interested in you and you're creating a connection. So we've done a lot of events in Canada. That was our first event in the US, the Vegan Women's Summit, but we want to do more. It does help a lot. And then, I mean, we are doing social media, Pinterest, um, but I think events is the biggest thing.
Yeah, and I saw you guys over on TikTok too, which I loved. I think
Oh,
it's very cute, and it's extremely helpful from the consumer side to be able to see the products in real world circumstances. Like, it's one thing to see the flat product lay online, but then to also see somebody moving with it, like the handbag on the woman or the man or whatever, and how you interact with it. I think that's a big selling point. So, as a
yeah.
marketer, I'm always trying to like help my clients realize that it's like, show your product in a real world circumstance, because then people can envision themselves using it, right?
Yeah, TikTok is great for that. And I kind of paused over the summer, but yeah, we're gonna start that up again in September. So it's fun.
Yeah, so I wanted to mention TikTok specifically because TikTok has now done a big push this year to expand their e-commerce solutions. So now you
Uh,
as a business owner, you can sell directly through TikTok, which
yeah.
which a lot of businesses are doing, and doing the live streaming option, which I think is so great. And I wanted to make sure you were aware of it because, Roseanne, I think like it would be great for your product to be doing e-commerce and some kind of like live shopping streaming on there. And it doesn't have to be 24/7 streaming, but just 1 or 2 hours a day, especially because we're coming up to the holiday season. I think it would be really great for to get the word out about your brand and really broaden your customer base.
Oh yeah, I didn't know about the live streaming part of it.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
going to help you with all of that. Like I said, I'm a
Oh,
marketer, so I'm deeply involved in
thank
all of
you.
that, and it would be great for you guys, especially because your ideal market is on there. Gen Z is on there, the Alpha generation's on there, millennials are really on there, and they are the ones that are really aware. Like, we don't have to convince them at this point. Hey, sustainability matters. Hey, cruelty-free matters. They already know, and I
Yeah.
think they're going to be the ones that really, are going to be the ones making the most active change in our world. So I want to support from all sides. But going back
Oh,
to
well,
you
thank
a
you.
little bit, in your entrepreneur journey, what would you say has been your most satisfying moment so far?
I well, definitely the connections I've made and the people that have been helping me along the way. Like I've met some incredible women. And then also just working with Clean Hub has been pretty inspiring. Like um, they hire primarily women in areas where these women wouldn't have access to fair trade jobs, and they're making waste recycling um, programs to get the plastic, keep the plastic, I guess, out of the ocean. They're not collecting it in the ocean, but keeping it out of the ocean.
Yeah, and I read that on your website too. So you're very involved in environmentalism as far as like the plastics that are ending up in the ocean. In fact, I do believe that I read that your bags, so you recover 2 pounds of plastic from the environment for every product sold. How does that work? What does that mean?
So it automatically is given to Clean Hub, like right off our website. As soon as the sale goes through, it goes to them. They keep track of it on their website. They're audited, so it's all tracked. And yeah, like I think I just read through the UN said there's 51 million tons of microplastics in the ocean right now. So
Crazy.
I mean, I'm not doing a lot, but I'm doing something.
You are doing a lot. So, like, just to be clear, so then that action is happening by a donation to that group?
Yeah, it's a donation.
Okay. So yeah, I wasn't sure if it was just in your choice of materials that then that calculates then to less plastics, because as we know, a lot of these materials are plastic based, if you're not looking for sustainable options like you have with this, apple leather and things like that. So that's just great to hear that that is just part of like your core mission, that you're really thinking about that as well.
Yeah, a lot of vegan bags are plastic. And so, I mean, we do have some of the recycled plastic, but we're taking plastics that aren't normally recycled, like post-production waste and fishing nets, and those are the plastics we're using for our bags.
Right, exactly. So it's because I did read so much about, you seem to be very aware of these plastics in the ocean. Is there some kind of longer story? Like had you always been very environmentally active even before you launched this brand?
Yeah, always my whole life. But I mean, it's also just the ocean life. It's part of being vegan. It's just caring about animals, even in the ocean, and it's affecting all of our health. Like, I don't know if all people believe it, but like there's plastic in everything,
That's true. And there's
like in our
actually been a
bodies.
lot of, and there's been a lot of news stories out recently about the amount of microplastics that we've all ingested and what's actually, in our drinking water and in our
Exactly.
food supply and things like that. And
Yeah.
something that I recently just learned, and now I actively do, is it was pointed out to me, and I don't remember where I read it, about when you're throwing away like a small plastic component, that, that has more chances of it just ending up kind of randomly floating in the environment somewhere. And it was recommended to take a larger plastic container that you were also going to throw away and then throw the smaller, put the smaller plastics in it. So then it's more contained instead of these little pieces just, floating out there. So I do that and I feel better about it because it made me realize how many tiny plastic components I was throwing away from stuff. Like
Yeah. And they blow into the ocean or like a river stream. And yeah,
yeah. And we always think it's something like it just ends up recycling and it's just magically taken care of. So, like myself, for an example, so I drink oat milk and the top cap of the oat milk carton is this little plastic, cap. And, as soon as you are ready to throw it away, sometimes, or I don't say sometimes, I used to think, oh, you take the plastic cap off and you throw that into the plastic recycling and then that all gets taken care of. And then it was pointed out to me, like, no, no, either put that plastic cap in, like I said, a larger plastic container where everything's contained, or leave it on the carton because otherwise it will just go floating out into the greater atmosphere, usually ending up in the ocean because not
yeah,
every little plastic piece is caught, is what I'm saying.
yeah, yeah. That's an excellent point.
Yeah. So tell me then a little bit about, because I think I read that you also integrate it within your shipping, that you were reducing the waste of your shipping and things like that. So how is that working for you?
Good. That's also all automated. So, a portion of sales goes to the grassroots or the shipping costs go to grassroots carbon and then mass reforestation after the wildfires. And so grassroots carbon is just carbon capture in the US grasslands. And the mass reforestation is anywhere that there's been a wildfire. And that's just to like offset some of the carbon because we are consuming, and I mean, shipping is not really that sustainable. So we're trying to just do better.
Yeah, and I think sometimes that's just where we just need to understand the start. We just have to do better and take one at least tiny action, and then it accumulates to larger actions, like with what you're doing, that you've really thought about it from the beginning, that you're going to use cruelty-free, sustainable, fabrics and materials, and then take it all the way down to making sure that plastics and things like that aren't ending up in our oceans. So I think all along the lines, number 49 has a pretty good system built out from what I've seen.
Thank you, Stephanie. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. So tell us a little bit then regarding your entrepreneur journey, because I always like to make sure we have something very positive here, because I know sometimes people can get kind of bummed out when they start really realizing and they haven't taken the action, so they're a little overwhelmed. I like to keep it positive and ask stuff like, what is your personal definition of success? Just for you. Can be business wise, it can be personally. Like, what does success look like for you?
Well, just starting was a small success, but it would be just to create more change and drive other companies, and not necessarily fashion handbags, but like any company, just to do better. Like it doesn't all have to be about profit. Like if everyone cared a little bit more, and consumers do care, I think if they and those that don't, just educating them so that they can make more informed decisions. I think that would be a huge success.
Yeah, and I think personally for you too, because you said it in the beginning, just following your dreams and
Yes,
understanding if you're not in the best situation, you can change it. Because you seem, like I said, to be, definitely on the right path, and I can tell just how much passion you have for this, which I just love. And I know
thank
that
you.
there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there that listen to this podcast and also conscious consumers. And it's great that, they know that they have options, that their actions have consequences, but they also have these options to make better choices too. So
Absolutely.
what would you say for any entrepreneur listening out there, like what would be a piece of advice that you would give to someone who is just starting out in their business? Maybe something you learned early on that you're like, you know what, you need to be aware of that, or do it, this would help you.
I think just go for it. Like everything has worked out. Like people have been helping me be authentic. And yeah, as long as you're authentic and doing what you love, I think you can't really go wrong.
Yeah, and then that brings me really to kind of just back to the beginning. When you were starting your business, is this all self-funded or did you go out and get investors? How were you able to make that jump from real estate to I'm launching my own vegan handbag line? Because it takes
So
funding.
it sure does. So far it's been self-funded. I mean, um, I haven't approached any investors yet. I think it would be a lot easier if I did, but so far it's just been self-funded. And so, I mean, it's baby steps. I'm not making leaps. I'm just chugging along.
Well, as they say, every marathon starts with the first step, and definitely the entrepreneur journey is a marathon. And,
Yeah.
sometimes people get a little bit too discouraged too quickly, and then they're like, I'm just not going to do it. But really, it's people like you that push through, that are able to make the change like we're seeing, through your beautiful bags. And then also just your positivity and your message is so inspiring.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that.
Well, Rosanne, I'm so glad that we met at the Vegan Women's Summit. Like I said, it was a joy talking to you, meeting your daughter. Your bags are beautiful. So for anybody out there listening, why don't you tell them how they can find you, how they can purchase your bags?
It's all at number49handbags.com. It's NO49, the digits, handbags.com.
That's fantastic. And then if you're going to be at any events, do you usually list that on your website as well? Like if somebody wanted to come and see you in person?
We haven't. We definitely should be doing that. Yeah, I will update that. That's a great idea.
Yeah, fantastic. And definitely let's talk later and get you hooked up with TikTok e-commerce. Because I'm telling you, this Christmas, that's all people are going to be doing is shopping on e-commerce, TikTok. And
Yeah,
it's such a great way. I mean, I have to say I'm a little addicted to watching these live streams right now because it's so much fun. It's so much
awesome.
fun to see
Okay.
people get so excited about things. And I want to see your brand getting to a new audience. So we'll talk about that.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Sounds well, thank you so much. And I hope you have a great day. And that's all we have for now.
Okay, thank you. Take care.
Thanks for listening to the Wild Party Podcast. If you're an entrepreneur or professional who would like to be on this podcast, please visit boomtownmarketing.com and click on podcast. We believe that every business has the potential to change the world for good, and we want to support our community to help make the world more ethical, compassionate, and sustainable for all future generations to come. And if you're looking to build your business, no matter what level you're at now, request your free marketing consultation at boomtownmarketing.com and click Get Started.